Hey, this is Gordon for Inspiration Touch, and today we're gonna create this simple and cool globe in 3ds Max. So this is gonna be for beginners, and this tutorial is dedicated for one of my Patreons, Youngjin, and we're gonna try to make this as simple as possible for you. Let's just do it. So here we are in 3ds Max. This tutorial is dedicated to Youngjin, one of my Patreons. So I'm gonna explain to you, Youngjin, how to create this model in 3ds Max, and the rest of you guys are gonna be following through the ride. So the first thing we need to do here is to go to standard geometry, and we're gonna create a simple box. So we're gonna hit that box right there, and we're gonna drag to create that box like this. Set the height, and now we're gonna go, for example, 50 centimeters by 50 centimeters by maybe 2 centimeters, if this is gonna be enough. Let's see, or maybe we're gonna change this up to 3 centimeters, and of course we will try to bring this up a little bit. And now we're gonna right click and convert this one here to editable poly, convert to editable poly, and we're gonna select the edge here. Alright, so in order to see the edges in your viewport, you're going to hit F4 from the keyboard, and in order to see wireframe, you need to hit F3 from the keyboard. So F4 to see the edges on the side of the box, or any model we are working on, whether it be basic geometry or something complicated. So now we're gonna select this edge right there, and we're gonna create a ring of selection with these edges right there. And now we're gonna of course we're gonna connect these edges using a segment or another edge, let's just say. So we're gonna make them 2 in this case, not 1, and we're gonna decrease the distance between them, so we're gonna bring them close together like this. Gotta go with 50 for now. Alright, so we're gonna go to the other side, select any of these edges right there and ring, then connect quickly. And we're gonna keep the same parameters, or the same data we entered previously. So hit OK, and now we're gonna do something interesting. So we're gonna select everything like this, this, and this. These polygons are being selected, and go to the bottom. We're gonna hit the grid G from the keyboard. And to keep selecting these together, you're gonna keep holding Control. Alright, so what we're gonna do next is actually to create a bridge between those in order to delete them intelligently. And we actually don't need these edges on the side, so we're gonna select them, keep holding Control like this, and delete from the keyboard. So we are actually gonna end up with something that looks like this for now. So, and the next thing we want to do actually is to select the polygons on top, and I believe we're gonna bring this down a little bit because it's too thick. And now we're gonna actually inset. So we're gonna go to inset here. We're gonna choose something that is not gonna be so high, something like this. Hit OK, and then extrude. Extrude maybe less than centimeters, maybe maybe 0.5 centimeters is gonna be fine. Maybe even less, maybe maybe 0.3 is gonna be better. All right, hit OK, and what we're gonna do now is gonna be even more interesting. So we're gonna go to the front viewport, F from the keyboard, or the left viewport from using L, shortcut L from the keyboard. For now, we're gonna hit F in order to choose the front viewport, and we're gonna go to shapes. In shapes, we're gonna choose line, choose this line here. And of course, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to create the legs for this piece of furniture we're creating here. And what we're gonna do here is actually to create this line like this. Keep holding Shift to make it straight, and we're gonna start creating some beautiful pieces of art. So keep keep actually creating these points in order to generate something that we want to end up with. And of course, there is always a possibility to go back and edit what we have created. I don't think that I'm gonna get it right just from the first attempt. It's not that hard, but actually working on half of it is gonna make it difficult, I believe. So I'm trying to do this the best way possible, even though it seems like there is a lack of distance right there, so we're gonna have to actually be more creative right there. Finally, keep holding shift and close close the spline like this. Okay, this is what we ended up with, and we're gonna go to the perspective, P from the keyboard, and let's see what we can do now. So let's get closer here, and maybe I think we're gonna select this one here, and we're gonna make it smoother. Right click and smooth this out. This one is gonna be smoothed out as well. Smooth. Maybe it's gonna be cornered, so we're gonna make it a corner. So we're gonna make it hard edge, let's just say. And we're gonna do something interesting here. So we're gonna actually take the height information, and we're gonna copy them over here in order to be aligned horizontally. All right, so this is close to what we want. Actually, I want to remove this, to be honest. So let's just see what is the purpose of creating this spline here first. So we're gonna go to the modify list, and we're gonna search for a modifier called lathe. All right, so hit that one here, and as you can see here, this modifier is gonna allow us to create something three-dimensional from something that was actually two-dimensional. And we're gonna go down here to actually align with minimum or max or center. So we're gonna go with minimum. As you can see here, this option gives us something that you can see here. All right, so I hope this is gonna be helpful for us in this case. So probably we're gonna modify this line a little bit, because this one here seems to be sharp. So we're gonna go to a fillet here, and we're gonna make it a little bit less sharp. Alright, so go back to the modifier, and as you can see here, there are some good things going on here. And maybe we're gonna convert this one to a smooth one. These ones here as well, maybe not this one. This one, smooth. This one here as well, and these two. All right, let's see how the result is looking like so far. Actually, there is an extra amount of edges right there, so we might want to go back a little bit in order to avoid having too much edges and stuff. So we're gonna convert this one here to editable poly for now, even though we could we could have worked on it further in order to make it look even better. But sometimes it is okay to stop when you think you are actually making some good progress, if this is the right expression. So I believe this one here should be extended a little bit in order to allow us to put it right there. Okay, so let's go back to perspective, hit F3 to hide the wireframe mode, and I actually like to change the color here a little bit to something that is going to allow us to see the lines and the edges better, something gray. And maybe the color here, we're gonna go to something like this. because white with gray is gonna allow us to see the lines better. So this is the first leg, and to copy this over the other four sides, we're gonna have to do something smart, which is not creating this from scratch, of course, because this is gonna take a lot of time. So you're gonna have to hold shift and move in order to create a copy of this. All right, so we're gonna make sure it is an instance, so this copy is gonna be affected by the change that we're gonna make on the other copies. All right, so this is the first copy, or for as an instance, and we're gonna select these two, of course, and we're gonna select them both. You're gonna make sure that you're gonna check the or select the angle snap toggle. This is gonna allow us to rotate in exact degrees. So rotate. All right, so 90 degrees is gonna be it. Okay, good. So here we are, and I think that I believe that these need to be a little bit thin because they are too big right now. So what we're gonna do is actually to select all the vertices and make it a little bit thinner like this. Not too much, of course. We don't want to take it too much. We don't want to take it too far. So I believe this is a little bit an overkill because there are some areas here that need to be not that thin. For example, these here, and of course we want to select these. Double click to select a loop, or just hit loop from here and chamfer a little bit like this. And we're gonna go with 2 edges, and I believe that there are too many edges right there, so keep holding control, select them one by one, and Alt L from the keyboard, or just loop, then control backspace to remove them because they are actually too much right there. Bring it down a little bit to keep things look smoother. So I'd just say this is, for now, this is something that we like. Okay, I think this has to be a little bit bigger. So we're gonna go to the top viewport and push it right there. Okay, back to the top. We can do this manually, or we can just I am sorry for going back and redoing this because we shouldn't actually waste too much time. So I'm gonna apply a trick right here. So I'm gonna actually change the pivot of this one here to the center of this base that we created there, in order to actually rotate this one here perfectly and get it exactly where it should be. So as we said before, we're gonna copy them as instances. We're gonna go with 3, and boom, here we are. This looks a little bit better. So now what we're gonna do is actually to go to basic geometry, and we're gonna go to tube. We're gonna create a tube. Actually, this doesn't make sense right now, but you'll see. F3 from the keyboard to see what's going on better, and we're gonna create a tube right there, and like this. Okay, go back to perspective P from the keyboard, and of course F3 to see what's going on better. So now we're gonna remove all the edges on the height, and of course we are going to reduce the height itself to something a lot less. Maybe I'm gonna go with 2 centimeters from now. and we're gonna make the radius, the outer radius, a little bit bigger. I want to go actually with 1 centimeter. And what we're going to do is to convert this one here to editable poly. Convert this one to editable poly and select this one here, ring, connect. We're going to push this one out a little bit like this. Alright, so now we're going to select this edge right there, ring, keep holding control and select polygon to convert edge selection to polygon selection. I hope you can follow me so far, because I believe there are too many things here to decode in the same time. If you are a little bit frustrated, you can go back and actually redo learn these stuff, because some of these things are not going to register the first time. But if you are dedicated, you will be able to do it. Trust me, because I've done that. I'm a living proof of it. It's not that hard actually. It's just takes time and repetition. So we're gonna chamfer these a little bit. Okay, that's good. All right, so this is what we ended up with so far, and what we're gonna do next is actually to create the globe itself. And before we do this, actually I need to borrow some of these some of the geometry that exists here. So I'm going to select one of these here and I'm going to copy it over there, not as an instance but as a copy, and we're going to center the pivot active, affect the pivot only, and center it right there, push it to the center. And what I'm going to do now is actually to rotate this about 180 degrees in order to flip it over its head. Okay, do it again. 180 degrees. So what's the point behind doing this? I'm trying to actually use this as a base. So I'm going to convert this to editable poly once again, or we can leave it as it is because it was already converted to editable poly. So I need actually to delete the base, and I'm going to create a new one. Alright, so quickly what we're going to do is, so follow me and trust me. I'm going to select this as a border, and keep holding control, keep holding shift please, and you need to move and keep holding control, keep holding shift, sorry, at the same time, like this. Then select the scale tool, keep holding shift, scale, keep holding shift, move, keep holding shift, scale out, keep holding shift, and move down like this. Keep doing this and keep holding shift, then scale like this. Keep holding control, keep holding shift, and move this one down a little bit like this. Okay, so we need to double click right there and chamfer this one here because I want it to be chamfered. Alright, so we need now to push this one down like this. Okay, I hope you are following me so far. I think this is gonna be a lot less shorter than this, but we're gonna figure this out. So I am going to actually select all of these, and we want to scale them out a little bit because it's much bigger. It's supposed to be though. And let's figure out a way to make this thing much shorter. And what we're gonna do is actually to select the edges that we don't really need here. We're gonna select them one by one, manually keep holding control, and then Alt L from the keyboard, or you can just do loop them like this. Now control backspace to remove We don't really need this one here either. And I'd just say we want to delete these right there because we don't really need them. Delete from the keyboard. And now we actually need to push this down. Alright, so control backspace here as well. So let's actually bring this even down further. I want to remove this one here because we don't really need it. And I want to actually scale these in like this. Okay, good. And for now I want to select now all these. Alright, so I am going to scale them in and make this look thinner. Or I just want to make it smaller, which is gonna help us to make things thinner and shorter in the same time. Alright, so bring it down like this. I hope this isn't too difficult for you guys. And I hope, Youngjin, you're watching this and you are learning something here, because I'm trying my best to keep things simple and understandable. So what we're gonna do next is pretty simple. So we're gonna go to the top viewport, T from the keyboard, and we're gonna choose a simple sphere. This sphere, we better create it in the very center like this. Alright, don't worry about anything else until we create it. So as we create it, we're gonna try to push it up there. Go to the front viewport, F from the keyboard, and try to push it somewhere like there. And of course, we need to increase the radius amount right there. Alright, magic is happening right there. So this is interesting. Alright, even myself, I am impressed. It is looking so good. I like it. So what we're gonna do next is actually try to fit this one here inside the space that we created for it. Okay, all right. I believe we're gonna modify some of these here. So we're going to keep all the shift and create further extension right there, or we're gonna extend the edges right there. Alright, so we're gonna make this a little bit thinner. Alright, I like how this turned out to be. So there is a final thing we need to do actually, and it's gonna be very interesting. So actually I need to I just discovered this. So I'm gonna hit actually Alt Q from the keyboard, or you can just hit this little lamp right there. And what we're gonna do is actually to keep holding shift, scale this in a little bit like this. All right, and we need actually to keep holding shift once again. Please follow me, and until the extruded edges or the extruded loop is gonna break through. I hope it's gonna be in the very center. All right, it is. So here we actually can see that there is something that we want to do here. So I want to create actually a center, or a piece of wood that is gonna walk through the center of this globe, and of course it's gonna be the thing that is gonna be holding it right there in its place. So it's gonna rotate around it. And what we're gonna do as well is actually I want to select this one here. I actually default to using shortcuts and be very quick and swift most of the time, so I'm sorry if you can't follow some of the steps I'm doing here, because I forget that I'm explaining things to people who don't have a lot of experience with the things I'm doing here. So we're gonna select these right there, and we're gonna do connect some of these right there. Okay, good. And we're gonna select that edge right there, ring, and then we're gonna do extrude. So this looks ugly right now, but what we're gonna do is actually change. Let's just say. Okay. What we forgot to do is actually to keep all in control and select polygon to convert X selection to poly selection. Now we're gonna extrude. And there are some things we need to keep in mind, because we want to extrude over local normal, and we want to reduce the size of this extrusion, or the length, or whatever it is, the height, to something that is going to be not so big. What we're going to do next is actually to bring it down a little bit, and we want to deselect these, keep holding actually Alt to deselect, and we want to bring these down a little bit like this, these guys down. And we want now to actually select one of these, loop, and bring it down like this. Okay, interesting. There's one thing we need to do, one final thing. Okay, we need to push this one here first in order to give it some space, and we need to go to the front viewport. So now going to the front viewport, we're going to create a tube once again. Alright, so we hope this is going to be the center. I hope so. And I'm going to create this. Alright, so we are doing a good job so far. So this is going to be a piece that's going to be surrounding this globe here. And let's go to perspective. P from the keyboard, F3 to deactivate the wireframe, and try to actually reduce the height to something that is going to be extremely thin, because this is the way it is. Maybe to be honest, we're gonna try to make it a little bit more thicker, less thinner than it actually is. So maybe we're gonna go with 1 centimeter. Okay, let's see if this is something that is gonna be working good for us, working so good as I want it to be. Alright, so let's increase the number of sides here to something that is going to make things smoother. And believe it or not, in the original design of this globe, this piece here is walking through the wood here. I'm gonna create actually a better version of this, but for the purposes of not making this too long and too difficult for people who are not actually used to work with 3ds Max's tools and stuff, we're gonna actually keep it at here in terms of modeling. So what we're gonna do next, I'm gonna actually stop this video for a moment, and I'm gonna search for a map on Google Images or somewhere. I'm sure there's gonna be a beautiful one that I'm gonna apply on top of this one here. So wait for me a second. So here we are again, and before actually we start texturing this thing here, I'm gonna give you something that we need to do here, which is actually to add some supporting edges very quickly. So we're gonna isolate this one here and apply a ring right there, and we need to push that up. Do the same thing here, which is simple as well. And why we are doing here, we are doing this because we want to keep the outer edges hard, actually, to prevent our shape here, or our model here, from going soft and looking like I don't know, maybe something that is not hard edge. So when we apply the turbo smooth here, you're gonna see that this thing here is looking much better, as you can see here. And since these are just copies, instances of this one, the same thing we apply here is gonna happen here. So we're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna try to make this quick. So we're gonna select this one here, chamfer, and we're gonna reduce the amount of chamfering right there to a few millimeters. Do the same thing here. Okay. And there are a few places that we want to apply this technique to, so we're going to select all the edges that are going to be affected. I think that's it. So now we need to loop and chamfer a few millimeters. Maybe 1 millimeter is going to be enough. So now when we apply the turbo smooth, we're going to see something that is much better. On the top here, we want to keep the same thing going on. So we want actually to apply this thing here as well. Keep holding control, do the same thing over there. And we need to push that one to the edge like that. Alright, so do the same thing here, ring, connect. This time we're gonna go with 2. The same thing is gonna happen here, loop, chamfer, now we're gonna do the same thing over here as well. Loop. Okay, good. Now we need to inset here. We're gonna make sure that the amount is gonna be something simple, not too big. All right, so finally this one here, chamfer. And what we're gonna do now is texturing this one the best way possible. And actually we need to apply some of these as well here, because this is part of it, to push them out a little bit like this. Do the same thing here. Okay. No. Connect. Okay, now when we apply the turbo smooth, you can find it here on the list. Just hit T from the keyboard and you're gonna find turbo smooth. Okay, the same thing is gonna happen here as well. Sorry for doing things over and over again and expecting things to be over. Okay, we're almost there. This is very important, guys, if you want to get good results. And to be honest, in this tutorial I'm not gonna do apply things professionally, because it's a little bit difficult to grasp. So I'm gonna try to stick with the obvious 3ds Max's tools that you're gonna find in front of you. Okay, this is looking good so far, I hope, for you guys. So this is what we ended up with so far, and let's start texturing this one here quickly, this globe here. So what we're gonna do here is actually to open the material editor, or if anything you're gonna hit M from the keyboard, and to load these maps or these materials that I have here in front of me, you're gonna select a empty slot like this one here, and you're gonna go to diffuse and none, hit that box on there, and you're gonna select the bitmap right there, double click, and you're gonna choose the map on from your computer. Okay, as you can see here, I'm gonna choose this one here and open it. And this one is gonna be for the wood pieces, the wooden pieces right there, and this one here is gonna be for the globe. All right, so I'm gonna link these textures and these on my Patreon page, because YouTube doesn't actually work well with the links for exterior websites and stuff. So what we're gonna do here is actually to apply this one here to this. So we're gonna select this sphere here, and of course we're gonna go to focus with me here, assign material to selection. So we're gonna assign material to selection, and we're gonna show shaded material in viewport. So these two right there are gonna be your way to creating what we can see here in front of us. So as you can see here, this is a pretty good result. If we consider the amount of time we spent creating this. So what we're gonna do next is actually to apply the wood material. You can just select it and drop it right there, and you can drop it all over the place. So we're gonna select all of these and we're gonna drop it all over them. So assign this map to selection. Alright, now after learning how to load and apply the textures to the objects we have here, we'll try to actually correct the textures on top of them. So what we're going to do now is actually to select some of the pieces, for example this one here, and we're going to search for a modifier called UVW map. And this is going to allow us actually to fix the textures on top. So for now it seems like it is working so good so far without any trouble. And you have some options here. You can change this to cylindrical, spherical, box if you want to. This works for me most of the time when I used to work on it using this modifier as I made my way through the tools of texturing and stuff. So keep it planar if it does work for you, and if it doesn't, go to box if you want to, and you can change some of the parameters that you can see here in order to change how the texture is gonna look on top of the surface we have. And we're gonna do the same thing here. Let's look for this modifier UVW map, and it seems to work perfectly fine. Do the same thing here, UVW map. Maybe apply this one here as well. This process is actually very simple, and it does not require anything that is going to be complicated like UV unwrapping and texturing in Substance Painter and these advanced things that we probably will learn in the future. And I actually do a lot of tutorials. All my tutorials include UV unwrapping and texturing in advanced softwares like Substance Painter and stuff. So I hope that was a good thing so far as beginners, and I hope Yongjin, you're watching this. I hope this is something that you learned something from, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.